I'm on a journey to get better, and I want to do it with you. And I'm not just focusing on physical health. I'm focusing on everything: emotional wellness, spirituality, finances, relationships, and so much more. Every week, it will be my personal goal to bring us, the world's leading healers, experts, and game changers, to share groundbreaking secrets and tips to getting better in all areas of life. Getting better isn't easy, but it's a whole lot easier when we can do it together. Welcome to Better Together with me, Maria Menounos. What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Glad to be back with you as always. Our quote of the day is how we'll start the show. Comes from Oprah.
Good old Oprah.
Our queen.
The queen.
The queen, actually. The official. What I know for sure is this: the big secret in life is that there is no big secret. Whatever your goal for this year is, you can get there, as long as you're willing to be honest with yourself about the preparation and work involved. There are no back doors, no free rides. There's just you, this moment, and a choice. Thank you, Oprah. I was actually listening to Oprah this morning on the way in because I wanted to hear something good. I was like, I had music on in the car and I was pounding in my ears. It was the weekend. I mean, they're good. It's good, whatever. I liked it. But I was like, ugh, this is too much noise. And so I put on Oprah, and my favorite thing she said this morning was from Maya Angelou. And she said, when you know better, you do better. What a
So
great
good.
thing to remember and to hold on to in life. Like, we're not perfect. We're on a journey, and we're constantly learning and evolving and growing. And so if you did something stupid or you made a mistake or whatever, when you know better, you do better. Just don't keep doing it.
I love that. People who are consciously trying to get better and able to correct themselves, it's just so much better to be your friend and be around you and respect you, because you can almost always be forgiven and move forward and get better if you just are okay with it.
Yeah.
And admit it. I love
Yeah.
that. When you know better, you do better.
That's it. We know better, so we do better, right? That's
we
it.
do. Every week we learn more, and I do better every week.
Every week. Welcome back to Better Together, of course. Thank you for joining us. Please be Please be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe.
Don't berate.
Don't berate. Actually, it's funny because I was giving you some tips this week on
A lot.
on some stuff that might be helpful to other people too, as I think about it. So I always say, when you're struggling and you keep kind of finding yourself falling and skinning your knees and being like, shit, why is this not working? Or why am I having a hard time with something? It's like, you have to look at your systems and see what might need upgrading, right? So I used to, at some point in the last few years before I got my brain tumor, I started saying, that's it, I'm going on a vacation. So it was like 3 nights, then it went to 4 nights. It was usually around New Year's, and I would go with my best friend. And on the plane ride, I would sit and write in a notebook everything that was driving me crazy, down to like the water bottles clinking in my car, to, the email situation, whatever it was. And I would sit there, write all the things that were making me crazy and unhappy, and then I'd come up with a solution. And it was always such a great way to upgrade and upgrade systems and create new solutions and not trip over the cord, as Kevin said. He always says, like, people just keep tripping over that same cord. It's like, okay, let's do something about the cord. Let's fix it. And so one of the things that I was teaching you this week was like configuring your inbox to help you, so that you're able to see the emails that you want to see in a certain order. Gmail's really brilliant and has amazing apps. And of course, Takira, who's been on the show last night, told me another thing. So do you remember those, like, I think it was Mix Match or something, was this app that will help you schedule things? She said it's actually, I don't know if it's that one, but there is a secure one for Gmail.
Yeah, because Mix Match wasn't.
Yeah. So there's an app that will go into your calendar, propose dates and times that work. And so I was like, oh, genius. I like that. So when you're scheduling something with somebody, you don't have to manually go in. It will propose things, and then they say yes or no, and then it goes right into your calendar.
Wow.
Like, hello.
Unreal.
So was there anything else? I feel like there was one other thing.
Yeah, there was. Well, the main thing was looking at what is bothering you and figure out solutions, because why keep doing that? And the other was based on the social plan. So there's always, I think the rule of thumb of that is there's always an app for it.
Yeah.
There's an app to make things easier.
Exactly. There's a hack or an app, one or the two.
One or the other.
So anyway, I hope that helps. In the meantime, I'm going to be out for a little bit. I'm going home to see my family. And
Live with Kelly.
I'm going to host Live with Kelly. Yeah, Kelly's going to be on vacation at the end of the month. So next week I go to New York. I think it's Wednesday and Thursday I'll be hosting Live with Kelly with Ryan. And then I'm going to be home, and we're throwing like a big name day party for.
Can you explain that to people? Because I just learned this yesterday, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, the Greeks regard name days bigger than birthdays. So it was always such a big deal when it's your name day, and your name day is the day that the saint is celebrated that you're named after. So we're throwing a huge name day party. And
every Greek person, like traditionally Greek or grew up in Greece, they have a saint name.
Yeah. Yeah, you're named after a saint.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what happens if you're not?
You are, because you're baptized in the church.
Wow.
Yeah, like Kevin, when he converted, we had to call him Michalis. He had to have a Greek name.
Not like Nikki, or Nicholas, or Nikolai.
Well, his dad's name was Michael.
Oh,
and the translation in Greek is Michalis, so we went with that.
It sounds a lot better when you say it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good job, Kev.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time.
That's really cool.
Meanwhile, the other thing I wanted to talk about, so we kicked out the dogs this week, and they're sleeping in their room, and we're getting so much sleep now, and TMI, but like cuddle time, which is so nice because the dogs are always in the middle of us.
That is not TMI.
And so I'm a spooner, full disclosure.
100%. No other way to be.
Eventually I go to my
you
side.
Sleep hot.
Yeah, I do sleep hot sometimes, but then I move when it's time. But what's so crazy is, so I diagnosed Kevin with like sleep deprivation and was like, we need to do this for your sake. But I also was waking up with him. I just never had to get out of bed. And because he took on the duties of the dogs in the night. I'm realizing I'm getting so much more sleep too. And it's helping me. And I'm knowing it because I'm dreaming heavily.
Wow.
Heavily. Although some of them are really scary. Like last night we watched Succession. And I think it was so dark that I envisioned, I had a dream about this guy trying to break into our house, but it was with the Elvis Presley Jack Lord gun that I bought Kevin, that's sitting in a safe deposit box, not in my house. And so this guy was trying to break into the house, and Kevin was like literally hiding behind the door to pounce on him. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm like, all right, I'm going to get behind him so he doesn't know. I'm going to hit him with this stand in the head. And like all this stuff is happening. And I'm like, and you know when your dream ends and you want to go back into it so that you can figure it out? And I'm like, I don't know if I want to go back into that one.
Where was Maximus during this whole thing?
It was like weird because I was at my house in Connecticut, but it wasn't my house. It was like a farmhouse. But it had my trees, my magnolia trees from my house here in LA. And so Maximus was nowhere to be found.
I mean, he would have taken care of that right away.
Oh my God. Steven yesterday at the house was so freaked out. Max wanted to just smash through my glass doors to get to him. And he's met him 1,000 times.
It's so crazy. And even when he does that to me, I think it's always when he's like pinned up. I think he doesn't like when he like doesn't have control of walking up to me. But
Yeah.
I was like, Max, we've gone through so much together. Oh my, I mean you no harm, full love.
Yeah.
But he's a beast.
That's what I love about him. He will not trust anybody. Even if I've introduced you.
Yeah.
I know, I love it because listen, crimes are committed by people you know all the time.
That's, yeah, I guess. But it's so
Inside
gross.
jobs, people. So the
Gross.
second Steven wants to come rob me or come murder me.
Or come shoot anything at your house.
Yeah.
And by
He just
we shoot
bites
a
me.
documentary interview.
That was like, yeah, shoot was the wrong term.
He knows weak spots and he bites them.
Yeah, he tried to bite Steven in the dick. Full disclosure, maybe TMI.
Oh man.
I'm gonna wear a cod piece when I walk around your house.
The best was we had an architect come to the house because I'm going to do this little renovation thing. And I was introducing him to him. And it's like a huge process to introduce Max to people. And once I thought it was safe, I let go. And Max went right for his jewels. And I almost instinctively went to cover.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, Steve, I almost grabbed your package to save it. What's worse, him biting you there or me grabbing you? And he was like, I'll take you grabbing me.
I think he definitely would take that, Maria. What? Not
like,
even a question.
Oh, I can't do. Ooh, this is so weird.
Oh my. See, Max is putting you in bad positions.
He's putting you in comedic situations.
Guys, he's my everything.
Oh my gosh.
He is my everything.
I want someone to love me like you love Max.
Oh my God. I just don't even understand. I was doing the math yesterday to think of how many more good years I have with him.
Oh my God, Maria.
And I'm like, I think we have about 9 good years. I'm
Sometimes
going
we
to
lose
die.
you, and this is one of those moments.
I think people need to understand though, like, she's not kidding.
No, I know.
Like,
She was probably calculating
I've worked
it.
with Maria nearly 7 years now, and we're working in the kitchen, and she's like, "Hey, Steven, can you just get out of here? Because I want Max to come inside for a bit because he's feeling restless. Can you just leave?"
No, that's not true. Actually.
Can you just go to the office and work?
So from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m., Max was cooped up in a room that was the square feet of maybe 80, and he was very restless and very angry. And then I brought him up to the bedroom to be with Kevin. Kevin was in not good shape, and Max was howling to get out of there. And he wanted his house back. And so I asked Steven if he would kindly work in the outdoor office, and so that Max could have roam of his house again, because he needs to, protect and be free. That was what I asked for.
Sounds like a sticky situation.
Yeah.
Maybe I have charges up after he bit my junk.
I think so. On that note, let's talk about how to keep your junk healthy with Elissa Goodman.
That's how you pivot, baby.
That's how you pivot. We have an amazing guest. If you guys haven't heard her on the show before, you've missed out. Go back and listen to those episodes. She is Elissa Goodman. She's a holistic nutritionist. She's a cancer survivor who healed herself of cancer with a lot of her amazing practices, nutrition and otherwise. She is a lifestyle cleanse expert and author, and she's also healed herself of her autoimmune disorder, which you don't really heal yourself fully. It's not like you just go into remission, as she'll explain to you.
Yeah, she
But-
was able to keep herself healthy and happy.
Exactly. And so really, really great conversation. She's so knowledgeable. And so pop out your notebooks and your pens, and just trust me, by the end, I will have simplified some of this for you. And in the summary of the show, we will give you a link to everything we talked about with all the resources so that you can handpick what you want to do to help yourself if you're in this situation and you have an autoimmune disorder.
Well, not even, I feel like even if you don't, preventatively, because it affects so many, and she talks about the stats in the episode. So I mean, it's really for everyone. Even me, I was like, I need an update.
I need some of that bio silver.
Yeah, well, it's true, because also you guys are young still, so this is the part of your life where you're abusing your bodies and you're going with less sleep and you're doing more. And by the way, when you're going after your dream, that's kind of the only way. There's no kind of set path, but I don't know how else to do it without putting in the hours and the hard work in the beginning.
But like Kev said, controlling the controllables. So I don't mind not getting as much sleep because I'm doing what I love, and that's it, period. But what I can do is make sure I'm eating healthy.
Exactly.
And when I do sleep, getting restful sleep, and all of the things that she talked about in the episode.
Yeah. So if you start implementing this stuff into your life, you'll be ahead of the curve. Mm-hmm. Right, Steven?
I'm still trying to find a book to read.
Oh my God.
Get a fucking book. Have you made the drop of that yet?
I'm going to, for sure.
Okay, perfect. All right, without further ado, here is Elissa Goodman. when you look at what you're working on, this amazing project, and I'm so happy you're doing this because we need this help. And from this first glance at the book, I love how every time I feel like I have a question, you answer it. It's like, okay, what product do I use? I got the products. So there's never anything that you aren't suggesting without giving us a resource to just go for it. So thank you for that. Autoimmune diseases is the focus of this next book for you. And you say 23 million Americans, and generally women, are suffering.
Generally million.
So where are autoimmune diseases starting or coming from?
Really coming from stress related, and what it does, when we're stressed and our adrenals are taxed, which most of us, our adrenals are shot because when we're just living in fight or flight mode, because we're either living in fight or flight mode because we're trying to get our to-do list done, or we're just trying to get the kids off to school. I mean, these days we don't even have to be full-time working women to be in fight or flight mode. It's just the environment we live in is that. So we're burning out our adrenals. Then we're affecting the endocrine system, which is our thyroid and our hormones. And so everything is being thrown off in terms of, physically, psychologically, emotionally. And so stress is like the number one thing. And then our guts are not really healthy. We have taken a lot of drugs over the years, even Tylenol, Advil.
Birth control,
yeah. Antihistamines, even thyroid medication. Any kind of medication is going to affect our beneficial bacteria. So not only stress or the, toxins that we're exposed to is doing that to our beneficial bacteria, but it's the drugs we've taken too. We never knew that. It's not just antibiotics. So our guts are where the immune system, focuses, and we don't have healthy guts. So, and then we're not sleeping well, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
We're not doing the REM sleep. We're not getting 8-9 hours. That sort of feels like, that was old fashioned, the 8-9 hours. Now we need to 5-6 we can deal with, but that's not healthy. So it's really that our bodies are just worn down. They're too toxic, and our immune systems aren't being able to fight off the toxins that we have built up in the system.
Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about fight or flight, and the fact that this is more prevalent in women is interesting, because even just baseline, right, for women. I remember being at a Tony Robbins seminar, and he asked everyone, let's have a show of hands. Women, when you're walking down the street, raise your hand if you don't feel safe. And every woman raised their hand. And he said the same question to the men, and just a couple hands went up. And so just baseline for women, I remember being at the gas station the other day. I'm terrified to get gas. I know that sounds crazy, but I've been assaulted at gas stations by whether it's homeless people or drunk people or whatever. They just, I don't know, I have a target on my head. And so I don't like getting out of my car, but you have to pump your gas.
Right.
And so that's fight or flight.
Right. I know, we kind of have come into the world in an unsafe environment. And that also goes back to when we're born, if we have a childhood where there's a little bit of,
a brother who's beating the shit out of you.
You
what?
got it. Unsettledness, or even your parents arguing. Maybe they don't have to get divorced, or, there doesn't have to be death, but parents arguing, and it doesn't feel safe.
Yeah.
Because you sort of absorb all of that energy, and some of us absorb it more. Some of us are little sensitive souls.
Yeah.
And we just really absorb it. And then we're like, whoa, is this world safe? And we're not sure.
Yeah.
We're never really sure. And then as women, we are taught to be good girls and just, put on that happy face, and I want to see you, not hear you. And we shut off our voices, and we don't speak up for ourselves. That's a big one. And we're never taught to love ourselves.
Nope.
What the hell
because
is
then
up
you're
with
conceited.
that? Yes.
You're conceited and cocky if you think, anything of yourself. So we went the complete opposite way and shut all of that down. I remember actually my dad used to say, Maria, don't talk too much. You talk too much.
That's what my dad said too.
And I'm like, now I'm making lots of money talking, Dad. So clearly it worked out for me. But when those things are ingrained in you from a young age, you realize that you're not supposed to speak up for yourself. That's how it translated to me, is be a good girl, just be obedient.
Yeah. girls are supposed to be in a certain place. Boys can do whatever. I know in my household, that was kind of the old-fashioned way of growing up.
Me too.
I know. So it's true. I got the same thing. I talk too much. I ask too many questions. I want to know. I'm inquisitive. I want to know what's going on, but they weren't interested in answering.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times, Maria, it's interesting lately with my clients, I ask them point blank, do you love yourself? And I would say 95% would say no.
Yeah, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
And
what
squirm.
that means.
I feel like I would squirm. Just in the few times we've talked about this on the show recently about self-love, I'm like, ooh, what?
I know. And I think that's the cornerstone of really, health and thriving and just really honoring yourself, because we're such beautiful humans. We come into the world to do different things in our life, and we are supposed to really honor who we are. And when we don't, and we give our power over, like we were talking earlier, whether it's work or, family life or whatever it is, that's when we open ourselves up to illness.
Yeah, well, you say, and I marked up all these pages so much, but you do say the emotional component to these autoimmune diseases is something really, really important to look at.
Yes.
So let's go to that. Releasing any trauma you may be holding on to.
We all have trauma. We all have, we've all dealt with various forms of trauma. First 7 years of your life, your subconscious is fully downloaded. We probably talked about this on one of the other shows.
With Bruce Lipton, actually.
Oh, okay.
Go to that episode. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's fascinating because we operate 90 to 95% out of our subconscious, you and I right now. So that, we hold on to those subconscious thoughts. So that's when someone could just even be mean to you in those early years or slight you, or a best friend could turn on you. That could be something traumatic. It doesn't have to be the bigger stuff. And you live with that. And that trauma is, stays in your cells and your DNA, and it's constantly talking to you. So the hard thing is, how do we release that trauma?
Yeah.
That's what's been,
It's like a never-ending journey, Elissa.
I know. And thank God these days there is meditation and there is yoga and there's, Reiki and tapping and all these beautiful things that can help with releasing that trauma. If we can go in, and we usually, our instincts know what the trauma is. I know with my clients, and when a lot of cancer or autoimmune, I sit with them and they usually at the end of the session tell me exactly why they have this disease because of all these things that happen to them. But we were talking earlier about the psilocybin, the mushroom journey. That's becoming very popular in terms of releasing trauma too. Ayahuasca, all those plants, they're very controversial still to this day, but there's things where you can rewire your brain. And we need to figure out how to, open up different pathways and rewire our brain so that we don't live in that place.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because there are, I even like the purge emotional writing. I saw that be really helpful with Kevin. He did the 20-day writing purge.
Yeah.
It's you just got to keep trying and seeing what is going to I think it's a chipping away process.
It is.
Right? So you do some Reiki, you do some meditating, you do some purge writing. Maybe you go do this mushroom thing, right. Whatever it is, you got to keep, because these things accumulated over time. They're not just going to go away with a couple therapy sessions. You've got to really work to almost if you're thinking about it like a computer, our friend AJ, who's been on the show many times, who is our tech guru, he's to really, really wipe a computer, you got to go in and rewrite over each file. So it's recoding over every file, and then it will wipe out. So then you can add new things. So for this, you have to kind of work so hard to delete everything little by little and then add new foundation in.
Absolutely. And the cool thing is, some of this trauma is going to, helps us in terms of really grow and be stronger, as we know. All the trauma that we've been through does make us wow, I did get through that and I can do this. So it's kind of beautiful. It's a good thing as well.
Yeah. If you have time to reflect on it, I feel like I have time now, and I've had time in my recovery to look back and realize, okay, I did give my power away a lot because I was just a good girl, didn't know how to handle myself in these situations where people were nasty and abusive and whatever. And so the few moments I look back on where I stood up for myself, they friggin' respected me.
Right.
Like these nasty Cruella de Vil figures, these people, these nasty monsters on my little yellow brick road. When I stood up to them, they actually respected me and backed down. But I just did it so few times because it just took me to get to the kettle popping to do it.
Right. You had to get really angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had to get yourself all fired up. And again,
and fearless, because fear is such a big part of this.
Yeah.
Because you're just afraid. Am I going to lose my job? Am I going to, whatever it is, there's so much fear. So if you work on that part too.
Right. The fear is huge. I mean, we have to figure out a way to be courageous. And that's what I feel like, over the years that I've tried to do with the cancer diagnosis and the Hashimoto's for so many years. It's like, I'm not going to live like this. This isn't fun. And I know that I don't have to live like this. So I need to be courageous in terms of figuring out what is going to work for me. Mm-hmm. It's different for everybody. But there are certain guidelines, that do help that I talk about in the hacks. I mean, that people should just focus on that are easy, but we do have to love ourselves. We have to be courageous. We have to realize, wow, we are beautiful beings.
Yeah.
We came into this world for a reason. So, and we deserve to have the best life that we possibly can.
Yeah. For anybody who's listening who hasn't heard our episodes with Elissa, obviously you've missed out, go back and listen, but she did beat cancer with some really intense work that you did and diet and stuff. And you also have now either improved your situation with Hashimoto's. You can't fully get rid of it.
You're right.
Right?
It goes into remission.
Okay.
And it can come out of remission. So my father passed away 4 months ago. Everything was good. Thank you. And then it kind of popped its ugly head up again. So you have to be, diligent on sort of smoldering out the flames, as I say, because the fire does raise up when you kind of go back into that fear-based mode and, feeling of loss and trauma and all those things. So, but you can go into remission. And what's happening these days is a lot of the doctors are scaring people because they're saying, first of all, that you're going to be on these meds for the rest of your life, and your symptoms are going to be what they are. So you're not going to feel great. Even on the meds, a lot of people don't feel great. Mm-hmm. And that's not my belief system at all, because at my age, I've never felt better in my entire life. And I'm 59. So my energy level, everything feels good. And so I definitely don't believe, I think our bodies can heal from all different illnesses. So I think your body can definitely heal from the autoimmune.
So let's talk about kind of the steps to identifying what you have, right? So what are the first symptoms that pop up where people start to realize something's not right, and it could be an autoimmune disease?
So it is really chronic fatigue is one of them. These are things that could cross all the different barriers of, different illnesses, but chronic fatigue, it's also mentally foggy, also it's gaining weight and not eating a lot to gain weight. It's also constipation, it's anxiety, it's hair getting thin and falling out. Those are some of the main things. So, I mean, that could be like adrenal fatigue or, just even hypothyroidism. Mm-hmm. But yeah, what you want to do is go into the doctor, and if you have these things and you don't feel well, you want to go in and ask them to do a proper thyroid panel and also test your antibodies. So most endocrinologists don't test for all the proper numbers for the thyroid. They test the TSH. They're starting to more so now, but they didn't used to. T3, T4. There's free T3, free T4, total T3. I mean, there's all these different, and there's 2 antibody tests. So
what are the antibody tests?
The antibody test that your toxic load is too high in your organs, and mostly if we're talking about hypothyroidism, it's in your thyroid, and your body is trying to heal and lower those toxin loads. But the doctor basically tells you that your body's attacking itself, which I think is a negative too. So it's just really trying to heal it, trying to make it okay.
So I feel like, and this is, I'm so glad because I really wanted to do something on the thyroid because so many women suffer from it. And I have Hashimoto's. My husband has Hashimoto's. Everyone on my mom's side is thyroid. I wonder, when I sat with you to do a session, you were like, take all of these tests to see the toxin buildup. And when I sent it to the doctor, he's like, oh, you don't need all of these. And he's great. And we had checked my TSH levels. And I want to know, what is the level that is normal and what is not normal? Because I feel like I hear different things. Like I have a therapist whose son is an endocrinologist who is like, anything over a 1 is horrible. And I feel like the baseline for endocrinologists in general is much higher than that. And we're all running around exhausted and like, we don't understand why we can't think of somebody's name that we've known for 20 years, or we can't get a word out. Like Kevin and I are just like suffering sometimes, and we feel like we're just cooked.
Right.
And it's because of the Hashimoto's. And so I want to know, what are the normal levels?
That's such a good question because everyone asks that. Yeah, I agree. I mean, endocrinologists have a wide range, like 0.5 to 4.5 or 5 or whatever is fine.
4.
It's like
4.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because my therapist is like, if I'm over a 1, I can't even function.
I'm right there with you. I think it should be 1 and below. Okay, we can mess around a little bit if it's like up to 1.5, but you'll be looking at the T3 and T4. The T3 is what really operates your thyroid.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm going to look at my record right now. Mine, I think, was a 2.8 recently, and it was like a 4 something before.
Oh, that's good. No,
it's
4,
horrible.
No, it's not good. 2 is low. So I think 2 something is on the low spectrum of that T3. Free T3 is what really operates the thyroid. So yes. So if your free T3 is great and your T4 is great and your TSH is a little high, then you're okay. But again, definitely not, I think, over 1.5 for the TSH. That is,
not good.
Not good. And we need to be looking at other factors. There's a bunch of things that really help the thyroid function, and that's ferritin, which is your iron storage. That's really the gas pedal behind the T3. And so no doctors really test for ferritin. They test iron in your blood, but they don't test for the storage. Vitamin D is important. Your insulin levels are important. They need to be balanced, and your hormones need to be balanced. So they need to look at kind of the whole spectrum, and your adrenals to see, your cortisol levels, where they're at. But you're right. It is, my numbers are 1 and below. Also, I'm having an issue with the thyroid medications. The Synthroid that everybody's on is just a synthetic T4. And like I said earlier, T3 is really what, drives the thyroid. So if you have Hashimoto's, you're not a good converter of the T4 to the T3. So that's also, interesting. And there are like a lot of doctors are now putting people on Synthroid and Cytomel, because Cytomel is T3. So, but they're both synthetic.
And then there's the pig one.
Yeah, Armor.
What do you think of that?
WP and NP. Like there's 3 different more.
I heard that wasn't good.
I took Armor for years and it worked for me before I went off of it. I couldn't convert T4 to T3. So I had to have both of them. And then I love bioidentical T4, T3, where you can compound them, but that's a little more expensive. Like the compounded hormones that women are doing. Yeah, I like the compound, and it works better with the body.
So our steps are, you go to the doctor, but are you going to just go to a functional MD right off the bat? I mean, can you go to like a UCLA or one of these big facilities?
You
but
absolutely
the problem
can.
is like I said, they think 3 and 4 are good numbers and that you're within range. But why is that?
It depends. I mean, that's the best. I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't know why it's so, because what if you are there and you're at 3 and they think that's fine, or 2.5 or whatever it is, and you don't feel good.
Yeah.
What about that? Like, that's what I'm saying is, like, if you still don't feel good and you're on Synthroid and the doctor says, hey, your numbers are within range, like, there's still something wrong.
Yeah.
So I think that that's what I have done with all of my illnesses. I just keep searching till I find something that feels right instinctually and someone who's talking my same language. Functional doctors are a little more on board with all of this. Integrative doctors are more on board with it. Even naturopaths.
What's the difference between those two?
There really isn't a lot of difference between functional and integrative, but functional is just really someone who's been trained to get to the root cause. I think integrative is more someone who's been trained in Eastern and Western.
Got it.
So,
Okay. And then knowing which test to ask for, which we will put in our summary of this show, the actual tests that Elissa suggests you do, which also include the hidden infections and heavy metal toxicity. And
that's a huge one. I don't know why doctors don't test for that more often, right? I mean, because we do have heavy metals and we do have pesticides, and they're coming up like crazy for people, mercury and arsenic, and then the pesticides on the vegetables, and some people have lead, and some people even have some mold issues going on,
Yeah, but that would be tested with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, mold is interesting.
I mean, that's a whole different animal, but...
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about myths and the fact that your body isn't really attacking itself. What do you think are the other biggest myths?
The other biggest myths are that you don't have to live with this disease forever, I think, and you don't have to be on meds forever if you can really get your stress under control, lower your toxin loads, build up your immune system, all the simple things that I think people can do. They can go off the meds and feel good, and that's a myth. For Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism, it's, I think, the cruciferous veggies. That has been something that's been out there. You can't eat broccoli, kale.
I've never heard that.
Oh my God.
That was the first time I heard it, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Cauliflower. I mean,
I've heard strawberries, no strawberries. So I omitted strawberries years ago.
Okay. Yeah, no, the cruciferous veggies, because one study was done where someone ate a ton of broccoli and basically inhibited the production of their thyroid. So, but those are the healthiest veggies on the planet, and they also help detoxify the organs. They're crucial. The sulfur in those veggies, actually act as a sort of like a sponge to soak up the toxins, or the toxins, sort of attract to the sulfur, and then it's excreted out of the body.
Released. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I know. And then the soy.
That's actually cool to kind of visualize. Visualizing so important. If you're drinking your green juice, imagine the toxins just magneting to the greens.
Right. It's like a fly strip, right? All the
Please exit my body.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
And the soy too. I think that.
Yes, I'm so glad I want to talk about soy because I heard that was bad and I omitted that from my life, and I just went back to regular milk or almond milk at times.
Yeah. I just think anything in moderation, and also if you are more plant-based and vegan, where are you going to get your protein sources from? And a complete protein is soy, is tofu, edamame, tempeh, and it's a great protein source. I just always tell people don't overdo it.
Yeah.
Just don't have it every day, and don't have it 2 to 3 times in the day. But I just think that that's also something that hasn't been proven. And
got it.
Yeah. And I definitely, with the soy, I mean, it is GMO, so you just want to be careful. You just want to do organic and clean soy sources.
Like edamame.
Yeah.
So getting in touch with your gut, you talk about how autoimmune diseases can cause leaky gut. And I feel like that's been a really popular thing that people have talked about a lot lately. Talk a little bit about what leaky gut really is, and then what we can do to help our gut.
Leaky gut is what we were talking about earlier. The gut, there's not enough beneficial bacteria in the gut to really help it stay strong. And the intestinal lining gets a little bit, loose, and basically it kind of separates a bit because it's not, things aren't working well in there, and it's not strong, and we're not absorbing the amino acids that we need to protect the walls of the intestinal lining. So it gets a little, fragile and weak, and a lot of doctors say that means that then it separates and little food particles can get out into the bloodstream. I'm not sold on that totally, because if they did, it feels like we'd be septic. If it was that dangerous and these things would leak down into the bloodstream.
Yeah.
I think that we're just, the gut isn't working properly. We don't have the beneficial bacteria. We don't have the enzymes to break down the food, because that's also that depletes. And the hydrochloric acid depletes, and that needs to break down food as well, especially animal protein. So I think foods hang out in the gut for too long and they ferment. And then all this ammonia builds up, and I think the ammonia sort of goes out into the bloodstream, not food particles, and that isn't great either. So it either comes up, in regards to acid reflux, or it goes out into the bloodstream. So what we need to do is we need to, again, I'm a big probiotic fan, but that's also a little bit controversial, because a lot of people think that probiotics really don't do what they are supposed to do. And also, when you take the probiotic, does it really get to the gut and populate? And they're right. There's just still, we're still not sure. But I know that when I take probiotics myself and I put clients on probiotics, for some reason, I don't know if it's a psychological thing, but they feel better. Mm-hmm. So I'm a big fan of really strong probiotics, and I usually put people on 100 billion or even 150 billion, because I feel like on the bottles, I'm not sure if there's 100 billion in there, because these supplements aren't FDA approved, so you're not sure if it's really telling you everything you need to know. And so I just load them up with probiotics or probiotic foods like the sauerkraut or kimchi or, the coconut kefirs, water or yogurt. And those are all food-based probiotics. So I love all that stuff. And then we also I love collagen powder these days, because it has all these amino acids, and it has 3 really important amino acids that help rebuild the intestinal lining of the gut. So, and L-glutamine is one of them. I used to put people on L-glutamine, but now that the bovine collagen powder has come out, that has been like a lifesaver. Bovine is the cow. So it's so if it's a good high quality one, it can really help heal the gut, the intestinal lining.
Does it help with our faces too?
It does. It's very anti-aging.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it helps.
It's multiple benefits.
Yes.
That I might take.
It's gut
I hate
and
taking
anti-aging.
pills. And so when I see take a probiotic and then take an enzyme and then take a this and take a that, I'm like, oh gosh, I can't do all of it.
I know.
Can I get the probiotic fill with just yogurt?
You can with the yogurt.
Can it be coconut yogurt?
It can be a coconut yogurt kefir, which is fermented coconut.
Oh, it has to be kefir.
It has to be kefir. It has to be fermented.
Okay.
And then there's the coconut water that's fermented. All you need is 4 ounces of that in the morning.
Coconut water is so high in sugar.
Now, these aren't. They're fermented. They're not high in sugar.
What's the brand called?
Healing Movement is one of my favorite ones.
I'm writing that down.
Healing Movement. It's only at Erewhon, but if you're not close to an Erewhon, because it's only in LA, as we know, Tonics is another one. Tonix. That's a great one.
Okay, so that's for coconut water.
That is if you take 4 ounces of that, you can definitely load up.
Okay.
Okay. So you can do it with the food, like we talked about. With the enzymes, you just need to put a little apple cider vinegar in your water, and that will build up your enzymes. So
Can
you don't
I
have to
do that with my salt water?
Yes.
So you talk about doing water with a sprinkle of Himalayan salt.
Right.
And that is for helping with dehydration.
Yep.
But I'm sure it does other things too.
Yeah, so it's great. It's minerals.
Yeah.
There are minerals in there. So it helps with it calms down the central nervous system. It will give you a little bit of energy at the same time. And it helps you absorb the water into the cells. Yes. And you can.
So I'm going to add apple cider vinegar. What, a teaspoon?
Teaspoon to 2 teaspoons in 8 ounces. So I think we do 2 teaspoons for 12 ounces is kind of what we do.
Okay.
And that helps wake up those enzymes. So
I'm going to update my Himalayan salt routine and throw my vinegar in. That's great.
And your hydrochloric acid is sort of crucial as well.
Whoa,
and
what?
Celery juice.
Okay.
Back to the celery.
I used to do the celery juice. We had Anthony
Williams.
Yes, the medical medium on the show. And I was doing the celery juice every single day, which was getting harder and harder to find, especially after I posted. I feel like I somehow, perpetuated
the celery
this
sold
a little
out.
bit. Yeah. And so it was really hard to find. And then eventually I started getting, TMI, but diarrhea. It was really hurting my system.
Yeah, you can, because again, we overdo it. You know,
Yeah.
we do too much. Maybe you need it for a little while because it does really help rebuild that hydrochloric acid, and that does deplete. And we need to break down our food. So to absorb the minerals and the vitamins and the nutrients from the food. So we don't want food just sitting in our gut fermenting. So it's like opening up a garbage can that food has been thrown out in. So that hydrochloric acid, especially for animal protein, if you're an animal protein eater, you need that HCl.
Yeah.
And you need the enzymes.
Do you believe in the blood type diet?
To some degree. I
Got
believe
it.
in all of these, like, you know, blood type diet, keto, like intermittent fasting. It just depends on the person. I think
Yeah.
at times in your life they work. And years ago, blood type diet was very popular, and I did it, and I felt great.
Yeah, because I have been seeing this allergist who does the NAET. I don't even know what that stands for.
I don't know what it stands for either.
I can't remember.
Is it testing the different food?
Yeah, she muscle tests you to see what you're allergic to or have a hypersensitivity to, and then works to remove it from you. Because what she said is a lot of times we are not able to process the nutrients and the minerals and stuff. So we could be doing everything right and it's not coming through. And so I was like, okay, well, I have to try something because I'm still fatigued. I'm still, having some issues. And I thought that was really interesting. I never thought about that.
And have you felt better?
I am feeling a little better.
And were there a lot of foods that you were sensitive to, or just
Yeah. Well, I got to the root of a lot of issues. I was like, okay, I didn't realize seafood like lobster and all the low.
Oh yeah.
What do you call those
Yeah.
things? I can't even think of the word right now. The bottom feeders.
Bottom feeders.
Yeah, they affect me. And so I'm almost done with the program. I have a couple more to do. But
You're right. I mean, the food sensitivity stuff, intolerances are important. Like that's what functional and integrative doctors test for. They not only do all the blood work that sort of sees, kind of really what's going on at the root and test for the pesticides and the heavy metals, but they also they do food intolerances. So you can kind of see where you're at with some of these foods. And a lot of times when people eat a certain food a lot, they can become intolerant to it. So that's kind of a bummer, but it does happen for us. And then they do nutrient deficiency tests, which is also, it is a bit of a snapshot into what's going on really in your body, but it can help all of that. So that's what I love about, just finding out really just the more information, the better.
Yeah, it does feel overwhelming in general because, when you're thinking about the everyday person, everyone's on the go. So, I mean, it's like Subway, Jamba Juice. I mean, you don't have time, and most people don't live in places where, all these, beautiful green juice places are just readily available for you. So if you're going into a Jamba Juice, because you say in here that you need to drink a green juice a day.
Yeah.
That's like a given. And I really have tried to do that as often as possible because I just know it's like I'm Popeye. I'm like powering up.
Right. It's doing something good for yourself.
Yeah.
I know that's hard. I mean, I do deal with people all over the country, and there is a juicer on Amazon that is not expensive. It's a Breville Cold Fountain Plus. It's like, it's $170 maybe, but the benefit that you get from this juicer, that's a juicer that I use, is so extraordinary, I think, for your health because, like I said, we're not absorbing the nutrients from our food, but I think when we do a green juice, and it could be simple, it's a liquid IV of vitamins and minerals, and it's a blood tonic, so it cleanses your blood. So it's just exceptional. And we're not eating enough vegetables, of course, out there. You're right, Subway, Jamba Juice, we're just not getting enough of the, foods that really give us life. And those, grow in the sun, and they have chlorophyll. I mean, they're just so powerful, and they detox the organs. So sometimes my juices are cucumber, celery, lemon, ginger, and like romaine. And that's not expensive.
Yeah. But it is time consuming for someone in the morning.
It is.
That's the thing that's hard.
Right.
You can pre-make them, but they also lose a little.
Yeah, you can't really do that in my book because I think they lose the nutrients. The other way to do it is to find an incredible greens powder. And there's a company called Pure Synergy that's certified organic and has a greens powder that the guy that put it together, has been working out since 1977. That's another way to do it. You throw it in some water with some lemon, and that is also easy, or into a smoothie. You could do either or. I've had people doing that, or even just chlorophyll or spirulina, like just getting, those nutrients into your water is really crucial too, which is not time consuming.
Yeah. I love the smoothie idea. So I was doing a smoothie every day, and I heard from the allergist, I'm seeing that calcium kills iron when they're mixed. So I was completely negating the entire point of having my almond milk with my kale and spinach smoothie. So I was doing almond milk, kale, spinach. I was putting spirulina and the different mushroom extracts, and the medical medium had sent me all these different powders. Vimeo.
Oh, Vimergy.
That's
Yes.
good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the barley juice extract powder.
All of it.
And,
I was putting it all in, and I was like, yes, I'm amazing. And then she told me, you can't get your iron like that. I'm like, shit, I suck. I was trying so hard, because at least with those powders, and then I would add fresh frozen blueberries and a frozen banana. I would get a bunch of things in there to start the day, because what I would love is for everyone who's listening to be able to come up with something that's easy.
Yeah.
So that instead of going to Starbucks in the morning, which, guys, Starbucks is absolute shit. I'm so sorry. It's killing us. Not only do they have signs on the walls that say, hi, our products contain, chemicals that create cancer. Right. You've seen this, right?
Yes.
And then we go in there like, okay, can I have my latte, please? And we all do it. Sometimes I go in there. I really try not to. But why not start with a green juice where you're feeding your body with something good, and eventually, so you might have 1 or 2 tired days, but eventually your energy comes up.
Yep.
Right? So it's like you need that 2-day, 3-day suffer window. It's like a diet. The first 2 or 3 days are really like you're painful. I got to really stick to this. Like when I do your cleanse, the first 2 days I'm white knuckling because I'm like, I want to eat something like bad.
Right.
And then once you get to Wednesday, you're like, oh, I'm so proud of myself. I feel so good.
I made it through.
Yeah.
I know. I think, do you feel like just putting a greens powder in water with lemon is hard? Like that
no,
doesn't
that's
seem
not hard.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's going to taste like shit though.
Yeah.
Being honest.
So
that's why the smoothie was good, because I could mask all the stuff that was going to taste like shit.
I know.
With some things that were going to taste good. So it was a frozen, delicious smoothie.
That filled you up.
Yeah. But
satisfied you too.
But what's the point if I can't get my iron from the spinach?
I don't know. I feel like, I'm not sure. Like, I feel like you still can get some iron, but if you're low in iron and you need extra iron, that's a different story. But I mean,
it's still good.
We're combining foods all over the place,
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I think it's still good.
Okay. I might go back to it because I'm not anemic right now.
Yeah, you were.
But I've been anemic my whole life on and off. So I always load that up with as many greens as I can. But I guess if you're saying I still can absorb some,
I think you still
then
can
it's
absorb.
worth it for all the other stuff.
Right. It doesn't. I mean, your body knows how what to do with food. So you give it the food that it needs, and it absorbs what it needs to get out of it. I mean, so I always thought it was a problem when you took supplements, like a calcium supplement, with an iron supplement, and they cancel each other out. But there's millions of multivitamins that have calcium and iron in them.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure about that.
But that's from, I think, reckless people who just want to make money who don't give a shit.
It could be.
Sorry, I'm really cussing today. But think of these vitamin companies. They don't even care the way these things are being processed, and there's chemicals inside of things, except for the one that you note in here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them that are really high quality.
It's like from 1966 or something. I remember reading, right?
Right.
What's the company?
It's Pure Synergy. It's really small, but it is sold on Amazon. But it's a small company. It's certified organic. That's what I love about it. And they do have these greens powders, and they have kale powder, and you can get these things and just throw them into. Another thing to mask, if you don't want to do the whole smoothie routine, if you want to just throw it into lemon water, you can actually. I love stevia, so if people are not opposed to a pure stevia, Omica, OMICA, is on Amazon because you can't find it very many places. It's a high quality stevia that's a liquid. So what I do with a lot of this stuff is I just put a few drops of that stevia in with the greens powder and the lemon water, and it cuts the greeny taste.
Yeah.
So
that bitterness.
The bitterness. It has there's vanilla stevia, regular stevia. So you just need a little bit. You just need a little bit, and then it kind of like cuts that that taste.
That painful taste.
That green. Right.
Okay. So you talk about in here lowering your viral and toxin loads. So part of that is to drink the 16 ounces of organic green juice a day. What other things do you recommend? I mean, I loved this note about taking your shoes off in the house. I don't know how I'm going to get Kevin to do this, but...
I know, because outside is so toxic. So it's hard to keep the inside clean. So it is, there's something in Asia, they do it. They take their shoes off, right? When they go in, before they go into the house, so they don't bring in toxins. So there's something beautiful about that.
Yeah, because you say, as we walk around throughout the day on the countless city streets and across bathroom floors, these forms of waste get stuck to our shoes, and then we bring that home and we breathe it in, and it enters into our bodies. I mean, it's so dramatic and serious, but it's true. I think about when I walk my dogs, and then they come and cuddle in bed with me by my pillow, and I'm like, why do I think this is normal?
Yeah, where have they been?
Yeah.
Outside in the grass, and it's pretty gross. But
the rats were walking out there too.
I was just going to say rats too, because in West Hollywood they're
everywhere. Oh, in the valley too. Trust me, I see them, and I'm like, they'll run in my bushes. I'm like, get out! This isn't your home.
I know, they scare me a little bit. The things are lowering viral loads is, like with the medical medium, because he was the one who really kind of spearheaded me to heal from Hashimoto's. He put me on a protocol.
No way.
Yeah, that was really easy 3 years ago, I think it was. And literally in 3-4 months, I was like a different person. And then I slowly went off my thyroid medication. I'm not saying that, my protocol is on my website of what I did with him. It was bioactive silver, which actually lowers viral loads.
I have that, and I was scared to do it
because it tastes like water. It really doesn't. It's not harmful at all because it's bioactive. So it goes in and it grabs onto the toxins and it leaves the body. But colloidal silver is a whole different thing.
Oh, that's the one actually.
Good.
So colloidal is bad. Well, this bioactive silver stuff, you were saying in here that the guy who found it discovered it as he was looking for an alternative pool purifier for chlorine. So does it work for my pool as well?
It works for your pool, but you have to do really heavy doses.
So should I be switching out my chlorine in my pool?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know if I can answer that.
Okay, I'll find somebody else for that. But
this one isn't that, like, it isn't strong. This one, there are other strong ones.
So you do bioactive silver every day?
I do, and it sort of keeps my toxin loads down.
In your water?
In my water.
Like, is it a liquid? It just drops?
It doesn't even taste like anything. There's so many things. Lysine is a viral deloader. Vitamin C, you wouldn't even know, you wouldn't think that lowers viruses in the body and also calms down the central nervous system. Then there's Echinacea Golden Seal, which, I love liquid formulas because they go in and they do their thing faster, because the pills, I don't know if they really digest and actually get to where they need to be.
Yeah.
But so Echinacea Golden Seal is another great one. These are herbs that have been around for centuries. Astragalus, they not only lower bacteria and pathogens and viruses, but they also build up your immune system. So we wanted all of those things, lysine and C and all those things that I mentioned on there, they do both. So you want to give your body that chance to rebuild. So those toxins are being lowered with all these things. And then you're also at the same time building up the immune system.
Yeah. So is this PDF on your website?
Yes.
Hell yeah. So we're going to put this all in the summary, because I literally just felt people furiously writing notes and not knowing what the hell they were writing. Like lysine, how do you even spell that?
I know.
So we will have all of this in our summary for you so that you don't have to stress.
Yeah.
Lowering your stress levels is so important, because the reason we got here is because we had a lot of stress and we were in fight or flight. And I know that's a really tough thing because everybody's stressed, and so you really have to focus on it. But there are some things outside of the normal meditation, breath work, yoga, etc., that you have in here, like licorice root.
Yes, I mean, you got to be a little careful with licorice root because if you have high blood pressure, it definitely raises your blood pressure. So if you have low blood pressure, it's amazing.
I have low blood pressure.
Okay. So
Sometimes too low.
yeah, same here. Same here. Sometimes when you get up, you're dizzy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it raises your blood pressure a little bit, and it also what it does is lowers inflammation in your intestines. So that is what's amazing about it, and it is great for just also the adrenals. It's amazing for balancing out the adrenals.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you have high blood pressure, I would start with licorice root tea. That tea, is easy to do. The one I recommend, like the Nature's Answer alcohol-free one, is a little stronger, so you have to be careful. And you don't want to use it ongoing. You want to do 2 weeks on, 1 week off, just because, too much licorice root can not be good for you. So
Got it.
those are some of the things you got to be careful with.
And adaptogens?
Yeah, I mean, the adaptogens have been around for also centuries. Ashwagandha, maca, ginseng, holy basil, all these things. And what they do is they adapt to your stress level. So if you're like hyper and you want to just, relax a little bit, you take an adaptogen and hopefully it will bring you down, but not like knock you out. And if you're low energy, it will bring you up.
Whoa, so it does whatever your body
Yes.
specifically needs? That's interesting.
Yes, I know. It's really interesting. So holy basil tea or Tulsi tea is one of my favorite things. I've been drinking it for like 8+ years. And holy basil is one of the queen of adaptogens. And when I drink it and I'm low energy, I just automatically feel a lift in my energy. It's wild. And if I'm just a little too hyper and I'm, maybe had too much caffeine, I'll drink it and I'll just relax. It's really crazy how fast these things can work and how beautiful. And maca too. If I'm low energy, I'll do some maca and my energy is lifted up.
Okay, so here's the deal, Elissa. We've talked about so many things and you do so many things. How do you have time for anything in your life?
It's a good question.
This is so much. I'm overwhelmed.
So that's very good. We talked about this earlier. I mean, I am so obsessed with feeling better because I think I never felt well my entire life. And
Well, you've gone through it. Cancer,
yeah.
Hashimoto's, loss of
husband. Yeah.
It's been a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. And I just, I just love it. And I love reading about it. I mean, yes, I do now put the brakes on things and I, don't work on the weekends and I used to. And I'm really doing a lot more yoga and meditation and, trying to shut off at a certain time if it's 6 or 7 at night. So I definitely, have had my issues with my stress and all of this because I do love it and I love helping people and I want people to feel like I do. I want them to feel great.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in aging. I believe, when the doctor says, hey, your levels are great for a 55-year-old, what about if I want to feel 45?
Totally.
Isn't that possible?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's what I just want to get out there is I think it's possible to do that. But I think now I've burned myself out a bit. So now it's time to kind of take a step back and really, walk the walk and talk the talk of what I've been doing and, stay true to the course of, just the stress and the sleep and not, pushing myself too much.
So something came to me when you were talking and I realized I don't feel like I ever hear a man say, I'm taking weekends off now and I'm meditating and I'm doing more yoga and more self-love and I don't think I've ever heard a man say this ever. So why is it different? Why, to me in a sense, sometimes I'm like, well, why can't I hang? What's wrong with me? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they don't have I started thinking about this recently with my Pilates instructor. I'm like, it's really hard being a girl. The hours that go into hair and makeup and coloring and cutting and nails and this and eyebrows and that, it's friggin' a lot. So maybe that's the difference. Like they don't even have to like wash their clothes. They can go out in a dirty shirt. Like I talk about this all the time in the musician world. Adam Levine can go out and perform at the Super Bowl, let's say, with an old ripped t-shirt and jeans and be so friggin' cool. And Beyonce has to go out with full glam, 20 pounds of fake hair, eyelashes, the custom made outfits. By the way, you got to change 10 times too now, right? It's just a whole other beast. And so what is it?
It's insecurity. It's like we're still trying to prove ourselves. I mean, you know, all of that is like putting on this facade. I feel like, you know, something that we've created that we want to look like, and we want to, you know, we're trying to prove that we're smart. We're trying to prove that we're pretty, or, you know, we're just trying to prove that we got it all together. We got our shit together. And sometimes we just don't. Yeah. Right? And like, we're not okay with just going, you know what? I'm just not okay.
Yeah.
And my shit is not together, and my hair and my makeup's not done. And I just think that we just put so much pressure on ourselves to perform.
Too.
And now with social media, we're just even doing it more so. Yeah. And the younger generation is just getting like pummeled with it all. And it's heartbreaking. Yeah. It really is.
But also like, I think we're different. That's why we're females.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe the extra FE is just like there's extra. Like we just, there's more to us. And
there is.
And we're different. Like I don't know if we're meant to do the same kind of things. I think we're different.
Yeah, but also we're so
in a whole other way. Yes, we're so much stronger and so much better because we got to push out watermelons out of lemons.
You got it.
Do everything.
Right.
So
and we're capable.
Yeah.
We are so capable. I think we're just afraid of our capabilities.
Maybe.
We're afraid of our powers. We are powerful.
Super.
Massively.
I think we're finding that out. But it was so interesting as I sat here listening to you. I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard a guy say any of that. And that's interesting to me.
Yeah. I know.
And it makes me wonder why and what is it? So we'll keep exploring that.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. You know, it would be so great if somebody would create like a Hashimoto survival kit, right? So you would put together a set of liquids in one. Like, do you know Lori Bregman?
Yes.
So Lori Bregman,
love her.
Celebrity doula. She's on the show all the time. I love her. She created that powder that has everything you need
powder,
for her fertility smoothie. Before, I used to make the fertility smoothie, and it's time consuming because there were a lot of ingredients. She came up with a powder. We put the freaking powder in some almond milk, and boom, we've got everything we need. I feel like you need to create the same thing for Hashimoto's and for cancer so that we have one liquid and it's got all the things that we need in it for Hashimoto's. And if you have cancer and you need your immune system lifted up, you need certain other things in there. You might not need the bioactive silver. You need all this other stuff. I don't know what the differences really are. Maybe there isn't. Maybe there's one for everything. But I really feel like you're the one to create this because we need
Lori's
this.
been saying the same thing forever.
Right?
She's like, why aren't you doing this? It's tricky though, because we all are coming from different places, there are different things that we need individually that we don't have. So that's been been my roadblock.
Yeah.
Each of us have, different, some of us had viral issues. Some of us had, our guts just aren't healthy, but we haven't had viral issues. So there's like a lot
I have another idea. So you create on the website a questionnaire that you fill out, and then once you fill out the things that you have that are a problem, you can create the tonic, right?
Yeah,
and ship it out.
Individually to millions of people, right?
People need it, and you're the one to do it.
Yeah,
right.
It would be really fun to be able to do that. I really, that.
Oh my God, because this is so much.
I know.
There are so many things in here, and the problem is we invest in the products,
and
then we can't keep up with it. So I've got a closet full of stuff, and then I go back to it because I'm like, I got to get this stuff out of here.
Right. I agree, and I think that. I'm trying to tell people also in the practice to simplify. I don't love all the supplements. I'm not saying you need to take all those supplements at all, but I would love to see the, just getting more vegetables and plant-based foods into their diet and whole real foods, and then sleep and stress and releasing trauma. I mean, those are things that are just non-negotiable.
Yeah, and the green juice.
And the green juice. That's where the plant-based stuff comes in. But yeah.
So if you were non-negotiable, this is, I want to simplify it for everyone. Non-negotiable, you do all that stuff. You do a green juice, and inside the green juice, you throw a little bioactive silver, I feel like.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. Bioactive silver in there. Well, I think the non-negotiable is when you wake up, you got to have 16 ounces of water.
With Himalayan salt and apple cider vinegar.
Exactly. And the bioactive silver.
And
throw
the
that in
bioactive
there.
silver.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the next thing is a really great green juice.
Okay.
Whatever. I'm just tired of kale, so I'm just sick of it. But, green juice giving you the nutrients, the IV of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, okay? And then it's really trying to eat, just as healthy as you can. I mean, you're not everybody's going to be able to do that, but just real food as much as they can. And then get to bed, by 10 o'clock if they can. And the 10 to 2 is where the body resets. I mean, just try to get 8 hours at a minimum, I feel like. And just, try to do something for your stress levels. Like just breath work is huge, taking 5 minutes in the day to just sit back and go, did I breathe today?
I know.
Right? I mean.
And for the probiotic end, because that's so important, maybe adding a little coconut yogurt into your diet.
Right.
And then if you have adrenal fatigue, the licorice root extract, as long as you don't have high blood pressure.
Or the holy basil tulsi tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that's feels
easy, right?
doable to me. I think that's totally doable.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to give
everything, of course.
But I agree with you. I know that, we talked about it, we're stressed and our minds are going a million miles an hour. And you're right. It is hard to keep up with the supplements and make sure you're taking them every day.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a pain in the ass sometimes.
I feel like also for anyone listening, what I really love is baby steps, right? So we start at phase 1. When I sat with you, I did the Himalayan salt in the water. I got that to be a habit. I started making some of the breakfast recipes ahead of time. So this morning I didn't have time. I ran out. I grabbed my chia banana pudding recipe. It's delicious. It's nutritious. I ate that. And I have the detox tea. So I'll do the detox tea sometimes. So once you get a few little things under your belt, then you can start adding other layers and then other layers, and then it won't be as overwhelming.
Absolutely. And hopefully with those few little things, you'll start to feel better and you'll be like, ooh, I feel better. I want to try a little bit more, because you feel better. You have more energy.
Yes.
So then you have more energy maybe to make that green juice.
Yes.
Possibly.
Exactly.
That's the whole idea of it. We just slowly want to just get you more energy, more mental clarity, just feeling wow, I can really do this.
Yeah. And to me, it's searching on Yelp for a green juice place and making that your Starbucks stop. That's what I love, because or making that smoothie where the kale or the spinach or Swiss chard, whatever it is you're putting in there, is in there, so you're getting your greens as well.
Absolutely. That's that should be easy.
That was easy for me
because you can make that ahead of time.
I had frozen ingredients, and even if you want to make it even simpler, you make for the week baggies with the spinach, the banana, the blueberries all in one. You just pop it in, throw the protein powder or whatever it is you want in there. And it's pretty quick.
It's really quick. Really, really quick. I know. So that's not that hard. And you can also sometimes you can make those smoothies the night before and then, have it in the refrigerator and then grab and go as well.
Yeah.
So bottom line, we need more veggies in our diet. So, yes.
Well, and we had, do you know Fully Raw Christina? Have you heard of her? I love her. We had her on the show. And one of my biggest takeaways with her was that the nutrients in an apple from 20 years ago are no longer now. It's 5% or something like that. It was a startling statistic. So you need to eat 5 apples today to equal what they were years ago, right?
Yeah.
And so when that clicked in my head, I realized I need to start eating more variety with fruits and vegetables, because I was stuck on the few things I was doing and it was repetitive.
Right.
But your body can't get nutrients if you're doing the same things all over and over, and you're a creature of habit.
Right.
So variety, and then a little bit more of it. So that little salad isn't enough. You got to have more.
Right. Exactly. And that's what's kind of sad. I mean, that's where some of these supplements come in, or the juice comes in, because I'm recommending 8 to 10 cups of veggies a day. And that's a lot. I think, the normal standard is maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 of fruits and veggies, not just veggies. So I'm recommending, double that.
Yeah, because we're so tired, we need it.
Right.
Right.
And you're right.
And that's why we're so tired, because we don't have the nutrients anymore.
The nutrients are depleted from the soil. They're depleted from the vegetables. Also, vegetables are being shipped in from all over, from different countries.
Yeah.
Or shipped from New York to LA. By the time they get here, they don't have the nutrients that they need. So we're not really, we're not growing unless we have something in the backyard where we're growing our plants and our vegetables, or we have the farmer's market where we go, which is, of course, 10 times better. And there are a lot of farmer's markets across the country.
Yeah.
So those are exceptional. So, but you're right. The nutrients aren't as, that's why I'm like, nutrients at a cellular level is crucial for the mitochondria, for the energy, for your energy.
Yeah.
And that's just that's a simple fact. I know that when people do the cleanse, there's 45 different vegetables in that week. And I know it can be hard, but I think at the end of the week, like you said, they reset their body. They feel better in just 5 days with no gluten, sugar, or dairy, and just tons of vegetables.
Yeah.
And it's not a way to live, because I know people need animal protein, or they need their sweets. It's a reset.
Yeah. So, Elissa, as we end the show, we ask everybody, how are you getting better in your daily life? What's something you're focusing on that's new, or...
Well, I am focusing on the self-love aspect of, I didn't love myself, I think, for years. And recently, the last couple of years, have realized that self-love and really owning my power and owning, my boundaries is crucial for me to survive. And it also has created just a beautiful environment for me in terms of people coming into my world who are on the same page. So I'm looking for that and craving that just, people who do honor themselves as well.
Yeah.
That's
so funny. I said on the show recently, I'm like, I'm creating a new tribe. I need my kind of people around me, because you need people that are going to inspire you.
Yeah.
To make the tweaks that you need to make, but then also, it's like
the ones that suck me dry. I'm like, goodbye a little bit. And hello to the ones that lift me up and make me feel good. And I always thought in the past that I always had to hang on to the ones that suck me dry because I know them for so long, or they're friends forever, or whatever it is. There were reasons, but that hasn't been so good.
Yeah.
It's just
for sure
tiring.
Yeah.
You want to walk away from an engagement with somebody going, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
That lit me up. Mm-hmm. Like every time we get to talk, I'm always like, oh my God, I feel so I didn't need a coffee today. I had you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's perfect analogy.
Yeah. So cool. So how are you working on self-love?
Self-love is just really I actually I journal every day. So when I wake up, I do write things about what I love about myself.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool process.
And when I can't sleep at night, I do the same thing. So I'm like, and I put my hands on my heart and go, God, I'm so grateful and I'm so lucky to be me.
Wow.
With all my flaws.
Well, here's the sad thing. The sad thing is we go out into the world begging for people to like us, and begging and don't take that literally, people. But the truth is we're dolling ourselves up so people will think we're pretty or they'll like us. We random acts of kindness so that people think that we're a good girl and we are a nice person. And, when we're wronged out in the world, we're like, why would they do that to us? I'm a nice person. So we say all these things, but then we don't live it in our own bodies.
Right. Absolutely. And that, you just hit the nail on the head, I think, for health and thriving in your life. Because if you don't own it, then you're never going to get to the place where you absolutely thrive in every way. If it's psychologically or, emotionally or spiritually or whatever it is, you won't thrive.
Yeah.
You won't you'll definitely have a good life, but I think that is really the clincher.
It's a hindrance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. That was really cool.
That was cool.
What a great way to end the show.
Yes.
Elissa, thank you so much
use
as
that
always.
one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
that
true.
was beautiful.
All right, guys, what have we learned?
Okay, so many things to implement. I want to get tested. That sounded like an STD testing, which is also important. Also very important. You shouldn't have a stigma for that. But I do want to get checking on my thyroid, because there are things that I think I need to improve on, like my fatigue and things that I can control with food. And then I loved how you guys also switched to a self-love conversation, because I think it all affects one another. If you don't love each other, you're not going to eat well. You're not going to do things that are proper for your body. So it's a really good checkup episode.
Yeah, totally. Steven?
I learned that I need to take in more vitamins and smoothies and stuff in the morning, because right now my mornings are coffees and coffees and coffees. I didn't know how much you hated Starbucks, by the way.
I hate it.
Yeah,
Smoothies would be
didn't know
so
that.
good for you, Steven, because we're so on the go. Like, you just need to pop it into a smoothie maker real quick.
Yeah.
I know. We have one at the studio, but I never bring fruit to the studio. So
Well,
I
you
need
guys
to,
can just buy frozen fruit and leave it in the freezer.
That's a great idea.
And then just be making them here. And honestly, you can also make coffee smoothies. I have a good coffee banana smoothie recipe in my book, The Every Girl's Guide to Cooking.
I was going to say.
And you can throw in some of this other green stuff that she was talking about, like these green powders, but it would be so helpful for you. Like, the more nutrients you're getting, the better. Because the reason you're reaching for coffee is because you don't have energy, because you don't have nutrients and minerals that you need to power up your body.
I was more curious, like the vinegar and Himalayan salt in water. Like, do you just like make these concoctions and have to chug them down, or is it like actually something you can drink slowly?
So I haven't done the apple cider vinegar yet, but I know I'll be able to do it. I can just drink that. I used to drink vinegar all the time.
Me too.
I love vinegar. But the Himalayan salt, like, first of all, she taught me to do that because coffee dehydrates. And so you start your day dehydrated, which hurts your head. By the way, you get headaches and you don't feel good. And so for you, you're not even realizing what's happening to your body because you're so depleting it from go. And so if you start your morning with a big glass of water with a speck, you just do a little speck of Himalayan salt in there, it hydrates you. And like she said, it also starts your day with some nutrients. And then the next thing, Steven, in my prescription for you would be to create one of these green smoothies with all of these things that you need in it.
They're the best.
And then by the time you get to work, realize if you need a coffee or not, and make it when you're here. If you need it, do it. If you don't need it, then that's one less you have in a day. Because I'm imagining you're having quite a few.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a
I know
psychic.
he does.
I'm kidding.
and Red Bulls and Monsters
Oh my
and
God.
energy drinks.
Oh my God.
I just like to pump my body full of chemicals.
Yeah.
I've been so good not having Red Bulls. I was having them so much, but I've been way better at it. Partly because I've just been drinking water, and then if I want to get an extra caffeine in the day, I'll do tea.
Yeah.
So I'll switch. So it's not as bad.
When I was really feeling depleted, I started doing 2 green juices a day, and my energy levels went up.
Maybe I should do that.
So, and you guys right here by the studio, we have the best green juice place. So
Yeah.
pop
Do they
on
need
in.
to be fresh, or can I like make one, split it in half, and then hold it for the next like 6 hours later?
I think that's okay. It's just
Yeah.
what she talked about is like pre-making them for the week like we used to at the house. You lose a lot of the nutrients in there. So I think you would be okay with that. And by the way, I just read something somewhere someone had what the hell did I just say? But anyway, something I was reading recently, someone said that they put ice. Oh, Giada, in one of her cookbooks I was reading. She makes her green juices and she pours it over ice, which sometimes these green juices are not really like the greatest.
I love them over ice.
Over ice, I imagine it's going to be so much better. And if you don't like it, just like Elissa said, throw a little stevia in.
Yeah. Those are great. The stevia is a great tip, but over ice, one juice parlor did that, and I was like, whoa, why is this so much better than this lukewarm
Yeah, the
juice?
lukewarm juice, it kills me. I just suck it down because it's good for me. But anyhow, well, I hope this episode was helpful to you. If it was, rate.
Yes.
Please comment, subscribe. We're trying to get this to as many people as possible so that we can continue to help you and everyone else on their health journey and life journey to be better. And you can comment on Apple Podcasts. You can subscribe on either Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. And like I said, if you love the show, feel free to social it and share it with your friends
Definitely
and your circle.
social it. It's the easiest way to get the word out.
And when we see, we retweet and thank you. If you want to find out more about Elissa Goodman and the work she's doing, as well as connect with her and purchase her books or products, you can go to elissagoodman.com. We have some really great upcoming guests. Shelley Zalis, an internationally renowned thought leader for advancing equality in the workplace, will be on soon. And we're going to talk to her about kind of being a woman in the business world and how to handle the ups and downs and all arounds of it all.
Closing the deals, getting your money.
Owning your power, how to deal with those toxic, nasty people out there. That's why I have AfterBuzz and my own podcast. So I don't have to deal with nasty people anymore.
New Hollywood model, baby.
Exactly.
That's why I have Max too.
That's why I'm my guy. You guys, I'm so madly in love with him. I am madly, deeply in love with him. He just looks at me with this beautiful soul, and I'm just so grateful to God every day that he sent him to me.
I've never heard you talk about Kevin this way.
No. P.S. I actually feel a little guilty around Kevin because sometimes I'm like, Max, you're the greatest thing that ever happened to me, and I love you more than anything in the world. You're my everything. You're my soulmate. You're my best friend.
I'm done. I'm done. Oh my God.
And then I'm like, oh, hey, honey. I used to say that to him, but no, Max is just.
Oh my
Who's
God.
cuter than Max? He's got these yellow-green eyes.
He's handsome. I don't think he's cute. Oh. He's extremely handsome.
Stunning.
Terrifying.
Terrifying.
P.S. I realize he has wet dreams, guys.
Oh my God.
Yeah, last night I thought I heard him at the door, and he was totally out cold, and there was like a little puddle near his little pee-pee area. Yeah, he had a little wet
The
dream.
fact that you think this is cute. Just out of control.
Oh, God.
Out of control.
Do we have any comments to read this week?
Yes, we have one from Linda M. Derchef who says, "Thank you. Enjoyed listening to this podcast. We all have adversity in our lives, and Kevin gave us some good pointers on how to deal with them. I finally understood what you mean by life happening for us, not to us. We sometimes feel, why me? But most of the time you come away from the tough situation better. I know I have. We are all getting better together. Thank you. Linda D., Spring Lake, New Jersey."
Thanks, Linda.
Cute.
So cool.
We have another one from
Yeah.
Aerodrig965 who says, "Love, 5 stars. I love this podcast. Maria is personal and relatable. Content is so helpful to better our lives. Thank you."
Yay.
Great. Thank you guys so much. It really helps us boost our good feelings around
Yeah,
here because
totally.
we're working so hard on this. All right. Well, we'll see you back here next week with another great show. In the meantime, you can follow us at Maria Menounos, at Elissa Goodman, at Steph Sabra, at Stephen Lemieux Photo. And remember, be nice people, make good choices, drink your green juices, and be present.